84 recently beaten and mugged? Why? Things are good. Dude. Yeah, this game puts you through the emotional ringer. So let's cover some of the crazy stuff it'll throw your way and how to deal with it. Ready? Bad things are going to happen, and there's no stopping it. It's just like life. You're balancing all of these resources, food, heat, materials, goods that people can trade, workforce, housing. You're juggling all of these different things you need to prioritize, and bad things are going to happen. Riots might occur. 200 people might die in that riot. Oh, okay, you're low on food? Well, now disease is spreading because you forgot to build a hospital. Oh, but that hospital takes workforce and you need more workforce, so you might have to shut down your production plant. But now your production's going to be down. So it's going to be hard to build things. It's always a constant game of hot potato. Like, okay, shut down this to build that. Build up my surplus. Okay, now shut down that to fund this. Oh, I got to demolish that because it's empty and build this. Maybe I have to bring in those new people. It's all chaos. So accept that from the start. You are going to have to make some tough choices. They're not going to be easy. And something's going to go wrong no matter how good you think you have things set up. There are some things you can do to mitigate some of the bad things from happening if you keep your food surplus, your production surplus positive. So even if they do go negative for one reason or another, maybe you bring in too many people, the food demand starts to go up. If you have your surplus filled, then you won't really see any of those bad things happen until that empties. The worse conditions there are, the worse things get. So if food's low, production's low, housing's low, people are going to riot, people are going to get sick because they have nowhere to stay, people are going to leave. It's bad news. Now, along your Frostpunk journey, you might stumble upon an old observatory or an old fishing village where 2,000 people are staying, and you'd like to welcome them into your new town. That might sound good. The way I told myself was, oh, it's more workforce. And I need more workforce to build more buildings and to operate them, so it makes sense. Really think 5 steps ahead. If you bring in those 2,000 people, what's going to happen? Oh, you have more workforce. Now you need more housing. Now your food demand goes up. Now your heat demand goes up. Now you need more production materials. Everything comes at a cost in this game. Literally everything. Every choice you make is going to have a pro and con. Oh, you have these 4 different factions. You know, there's like a religious faction. There's a faction that primarily lives on the ice. And then there's the faction that was born in your town, so that's kind of all they know. And you have to balance relations. Like, oh, okay, this is 60% of my population, so I probably want a good relationship with them. This faction's only 5%, so it doesn't really matter, but they're kind of anarchists, so they could get a little dangerous if I don't listen to them. Things will go wrong. Accept that. Before we continue, tell me what you're drinking. I'm currently drinking a cup of coffee out of a Homer Simpson cup with a hole in it. Like, look at that. It's a good time. Plus, it makes it easy to hold. You can, like, stick one finger in there. So, who doesn't like that? What are you drinking? Also, let us pay respects for Concord. I managed to land a physical copy. It's part of history right there, and it had its 2 weeks in the sun. Now, although the game does constantly present you with choices that look like, oh, there's only 2 options, it's pick this, or do nothing, and you might say, oh, if I do nothing, something's going to go wrong. Something will go wrong with each choice. Usually, how it goes is, here's a solution to your problem. It's going to improve this. It's going to improve, you know, disease rates are going to go down. Maybe it improves citizen happiness, but you're going to get a worse relationship with this faction and vice versa. Now, you can choose to do nothing and something will still happen. It might not be what they say. This little article might say, hey, this happened, a machine killed someone, tensions are rising, citizens want a new law passed for the workforce. And you look at the 2 laws and say, you know what, I don't really like either of them. You can choose to do nothing, and maybe nothing happens. Maybe the workforce goes on and there's no more incidents, or maybe a machine blows up a week later and now you have to deal with it. As you progress through this game, you'll then have to start voting on laws with a council because you are an elected leader. So after the tutorial and you establish New London, you'll get, I want to say it's like 20 or 30 weeks in game time to prove that you as the steward should run this city. And if you do a really poor job, they're going to vote you out. And that's game over. So you no longer control anything. So that's your first mission, is to make sure you do a good enough job in the beginning to ensure that they vote you in. From there, you then have to meet up with this town council every so often and vote on laws to improve survival, improve citizen relations, improve your faction relations. On top of juggling resources, you now have to juggle laws to make everyone happy and what's best for your city. It's a lot. It really is. So just embrace the chaos. Don't expect to ever feel comfortable, because if you do, it's not going to last long. Now, at some point, you're going to have to explore outside of your town, and you might find oil deposits. You might find old coal mines. You might find, an observatory that has resources that you can bring to your city. Awesome. Remember, everything comes at a cost. If you send people out to explore, they might die, or maybe only half will return. So now you just lost another precious resource in your explorers. Again, you might find a resource deposit that you can no longer use. My generator runs on oil only. So there's plenty of coal deposits out there that I can't use. So I explored that area for nothing. Be careful about the moves you make. Now, while you never get comfortable, things do get better the longer you play. So again, my generator runs on oil, so I don't have to mine coal anymore. Conditions in my city have generally got better, so my population goes up. But as things get better, the stakes get higher. So every choice you make is going to have either a bigger reward or an even worse catastrophe. I had one of my extraction districts say, oh, we discovered this mine that is supplying us with like an infinite supply of coal, but there's fumes down there, so kids are dying. Should we blow up the mine to save the people, or leave it open and just have some people die every so often? It's like, oh, I really need the resource for my city, but if I do something that's causing people to die, then the citizens are going to turn on me and my relations are going to go down the toilet. What do I do? So you really got to play like 5D chess with this game of, okay, I got to maintain relations. I got to keep people happy. Otherwise, they're going to vote me out. They're going to turn on me. They're going to throw me out in the snow. And that's what we're trying to avoid. Don't be afraid to demolish the buildings you have. If you're extracting wood, oil, coal, whatever it may be, and something happens and all of a sudden you need a lot more food, turn off that district. Or if you've pulled all the materials you can, demolish it, get your workforce back, and build somewhere else. You're going to have to consistently adapt. Build this, use it for a while, build 5 food plants, get our stocks and our surplus up to 50,000, max out your reserves, then demolish those and do extraction districts so I can max out our reserves there. You always want to have some reserves. That way, when shit hits the fan, if you get just an influx of new citizens and all your demands go up, you won't be screwed. You'll have your reserves that'll last you, 150 weeks, so you can kind of figure your stuff out. Bottom line, Frostpunk 2 is going to test your resolve. This isn't a low-key, cozy kind of city builder like Age of Mythology, which I love. It's so much fun. You build your buildings, you build up your army, you got little defenses. It's great. You've got 3 resources to manage. It's nice and relaxing. No. You take your eye off the ball from this. Oh, a riot just happened and you didn't address it. That's the key, is stuff that happens around your city has a time limit for you to respond. So if something happens and you don't click on it quick enough, or maybe you get up to go grab some coffee and your game's still running, and something happens, some explosion happens in a factory and you don't address it, the notification will go away and you'll have to actually click on it to see that happening. Pay attention. This is a full-time job, paying attention to Frostpunk 2. Now, it is fun. I'm really enjoying it, but the stakes are high. They only get higher. as you get, you know, quote unquote, comfortable. Not really comfortable, but it's going to give you a false sense that things are getting better. And then it's going to hit you with, oh, blizzard. Heat demand goes up by triple. What are you going to do now? Oh, it's a warmer season. You know what? Heat demand goes down. We're going to make you feel better. And then boom, disease or plague. Half your population dies. What do you think of that? You are not in control. It's going to make you think you're in control, but guess what? You're not. I promise you. It will remind you, oh, you're feeling comfortable, are you? Let's end that. Now, if you're hearing all this and saying, Frostpunk 2 is not my cup of tea. I just did an 18-hour shift in the hospital. I'm not looking to come back home and say, yeah, let's work another 4 hours at this game. I just kept people from dying in a real hospital. I'm not looking to manage fake people in a game from dying. I hear you. So maybe you want something a little more low-key, a little more enjoyable. You can just kick back in the recliner, open a beer, and say, this is cozy. This is relaxation. This is why we come home.
This is how I relax!
I've got you right here. I've got a full playthrough of Astrobot on PS5. Pretty much a polar opposite in terms of responsibility, mental stress to Frostpunk 2. If that's something that you're into, go check it out. And if you like what I'm doing here, if you want to see any more, if you are also paying your respects to Concord, then go down, subscribe, comment, do all the YouTube things, and I'll see you next time.